Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here in Denmark today for a little chat about my crochet and my knitting. Because I have both to show this week. I have 3 active whips, I have a couple of finished objects, and then I have a tutorial on how to work the faux cables that are in the PLC and in quite a few of my other patterns. I will say that the tutorial is not really a professional one. It was recorded in the car going from Italy to Denmark. I was holding my phone under my chin and recording. But I realized that if I wanted to record it, it was last call because I was finishing up my perfect little cardigan on that trip. Yeah. So that is my first finished object, my perfect little cardigan. And it is exactly how I hoped it would be. I was nervous more or less from the get-go. I don't know, I'm not a great worrier, but I worry about yardage. I always worry, is there going to be enough? I have a mental game of yarn chicken going from the moment I cast on. I'm always afraid to run out of yarn, and I was on this one too, and I had absolutely no reason. I knitted out of 3 skeins of sport weight merino that I received as a gift from the lovely Julia, the Dutch knitter here on YouTube. And I was like, are 3 skeins of sport weight gonna be enough for this? I wasn't sure. According to the pattern, it was going to be enough, but you never know. It was enough. I have maybe half a skein left over, so there. I was holding it with some kit sock, drops kit sock, both to be able to get gauge easier, but also because this is it's not a variegated yarn, but it is a hand-dyed yarn and it has a lot of nuances to it. So I wanted something to even out any pulling or striping or whatever can occur. I was not gonna helical knit the whole thing. I don't have the patience for that. So what I did is I worked the yoke down to the sleeve separation with 1 skein. Then as I started working the body, I introduced the next skein and I was helical knitting for maybe 3-4 centimeters, something like that. Then I saved what I had left of the skein that I had used for the yoke so that I would be able to helical knit with that skein and the new skein that I was going to introduce for the sleeves. So that's how I did it. A little bit of helical knitting, not a lot, but with this yarn, I don't even think I would have had to do the helical knitting. I actually think I could have gotten away with just changing from 1 skein to the next. But, you know, I never take chances with hand-dyed yarns because you never know. And that's not about the hand dyer being skilled or not. It's just the nature of the hand-dyed yarn. But yeah, I am loving it. It fits me perfectly. I love that it doesn't fall. I think many cardigans will like tilt so that they droop here in front. This one doesn't because you work a lot of short rows, both to lengthen the back, but also to make sure that the button band is not going to be too long, so you will work some short rows all the way out to the bottom band. I did knit the sleeves just a little bit longer. Maybe I overdid it slightly, but you know, it is super cozy, and if it gets too much for me, I can always just fold back the cuffs. I don't think that I'm going to do that though. With this one, I did not even make the afterthought buttonholes that I was showing you in my last video. These are not buttons, these are vanity clips. They're just secured with this, like a little pin. So what I'm doing is, because I know that this is how I will probably wear it most, I just put them through both of the sides, and it's easy. If I want to change it, I can just pull out the pins and replace them. But for now, this is it. The vanity pins are just some that I got off of Amazon last time I was in Texas. And I must say, for someone who truly dislikes any kind of sewing, including sewing in buttons, these little clips, they're not a lifesaver. I wouldn't say that. But if you really love cardigans and you really dislike sewing, they're probably, to me, the biggest invention since the wheel. Something like that. I really enjoy using these, for sure. I have put in some different ones. They're not all the same. Definitely the same family, but not exactly the same. I like that. But again, it's so easy to change if I one day decide, no, I want similar buttons all the way down. But yeah, my perfect little cardigan, and it is perfect as I expected it to be. Part of the perfection of this cardigan actually comes from something as simple as a compound raglan. The fact that you start by only increasing on the body and then later start increasing on body and sleeves. It gives you something like a saddle shoulder, which just gives a better fit. So even when I wear these cardigans open, they never slide off my shoulders. And I have 5. I know how they wear. This is my 5th perfect little cardigan. Definitely not my last one, because I use them a lot. They're so easy to wear and nice to have in my wardrobe. So very, very pleased with this one, and pleased to finally have it off of my needles. I did cast it on in spring, but then over the summer, a warm cardigan, knitting with mohair in the heat and the sunscreen and all of that. So it fell to the wayside, but recently I picked it back up, and now I have my finished cardigan. I do have some other finished objects. They're teeny tiny, but I have been crocheting little coasters. We are, we're not in our main house in Denmark. We're in our teeny tiny little cabin, just curled up in a bubble of joy down here. We really love it here. And I decided, oh, this house needs little coasters. So first I worked these 2, just using the pattern, the Sunburst Hexie from the blanket that I crocheted as my Advent blanket last year. And then this little snowfall coaster. This is from Lulu Loves Crochet. She used to have a podcast here on YouTube, but I haven't seen anything from her in quite a while, which is such a shame because she's lovely. I am, of course, gonna link both patterns and everything else that I talk about in the description box below, where you'll also find links to where you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and so on. I kind of always forget to say that, but Yeah, I love these snowfall coasters. I have a handful of them at home. I use them a lot for Christmas. I worked them up in some brown, a cone of something that I had sitting around. Some of them I added a little glitter in the middle. But this is much larger. I worked this one up in a yarn that I have down here. Down here I have a granny stripe blanket that I just keep here and work on it from time to time. It's been a while since I picked it up, but I like that it's here. It's so cozy to come here and see, oh, there you are, my blanket. But yeah, I just took one of the yarns from that basket and worked up these. And as you can probably see, this one is still wet. I just blocked it, but it's going to be fine. It's okay to handle even when it's wet. For what I have been knitting and crocheting on, I have a brand new project on my needles. Oh, look, it's brand new and it's already outgrown this rather large project bag. It is because it's a bulky weight yarn. A while ago, I received 6 balls of this beautiful chunky mohair, and it really is chunky. Let me see if I can pull up a strand of it. It is really a chunky mohair. I received 6 balls of this from Garnspecialisten, the company that I love so much. They rescue leftover yarns from the textile industry. This was clearly made as a yarn for hand knitting. Sometimes they get a couple of boxes of yarns that are balled up, ready for hand knitting, that were just not the colors or the type of yarn that people were buying. So I don't know why no one was buying this. It's blowing out completely. It is pitch black. It's a lovely yarn to work with. It is light. I think a lot of chunky yarns, they get just a little bit heavy. This is very light, relatively easy to work with. I mean, it is chunky, it is a mohair, but it's relatively easy to work with. And I did not know what to make with it. I was considering making one of the knit collage patterns. I have previously made both the pixelated cardi and the snowfall bubble cardi, and I love both. But I wasn't sure that I was going to have enough yarn. According to them, and now it's the theme for today, not having enough yarn. But according to the patterns, I wouldn't have enough yarn. And they're both cropped cardigans, so there wasn't really a lot of wriggle room in there. I couldn't just take a long cardigan and make it cropped. It was cropped from the beginning. I could, of course, have made it short-sleeved, but I don't see myself wearing a short-sleeved chunky sweater. I don't know. Maybe I should try one day. Another little hurdle that I ran into is the fact that I don't like knitting sleeves on chunky weight garments. So here we go. I don't like sewing in buttons. I don't like knitting sleeves on chunky weight garments. There's a lot of things I don't like, but I want my making time to be pleasurable. I want to enjoy myself when I'm knitting. And when you're knitting this I'm working on needles size 12 millimeters, which is a US 17. It's a chunky thing. And the problem is when you're working the sleeves and you're doing magic loop, it is so difficult to get the stitches up on the needle because the difference between the cable, the cord, and the needle, it's just so big. So it's really difficult. I'm always struggling to get my stitches up on the needle, and it is driving me bonkers. Realizing that, remembering that about myself, I knew that I needed to do a vest. So I started looking for vests, and I didn't really find anything, and then I remembered. I have this go-to recipe for making vests. I have been using it for myself, for all of my grandchildren. I have been using it with fingering weight and DK, worsted, Aran, whatever the yarn I had available. I was using this recipe because it is very simple. The only thing you really need to know is how many stitches to cast on, and then you're good to go. At one point, I did release that recipe as a pattern. I think I made it for a sport weight. It's called Cat number 3. It was from our 3rd knitathon. And it is just a very simple vest. What you do is you cast on however many stitches you need for your neckline. You work your neckline, then you take 1 stitch on either shoulder and you work increases around that stitch on every round as you are at the same time working some short rows. And then when you think, okay, the shoulder is wide enough, I have enough stitches on my needles, then you just start knitting down. And you knit down for as far as you want. And then you either you gather it to join to work in the round, or you continue down to make a front and a back separately that you can then either knit some ties, or you can add buttons, or you can do basically whatever you will. And it is so simple. So actually I'm contemplating adding the instructions on how to use any yarn, any gauge for the pattern. I am contemplating putting that as an appendix to the pattern, but I don't know if anyone would be interested. I don't know if it is so simple that no one really needs it, but please let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion on this. Is it going to be too simple for me to even bother to write it down, or would some people find it helpful? But yeah, all of that talk, and here is where I am. Now I'm just gonna make some room for myself here. And again, it is blowing out terribly, but I have knit the back piece. I just started knitting on the front piece. I think I only knit a couple of rows, but here you can see the construction. I think you can see it very well because it is such a chunky yarn. So you can see that you have, okay, here you go. Can you see you have 1 stitch running over the shoulder, and then you have all of the increases worked on either side of that stitch. This is the kind of project that you could finish in a day or 2 because of the heavy needles and the chunky yarn and the simplicity of the knit. The thing is, knitting on such heavy needles is kind of a chore, so I try to limit it to working maybe an hour and then putting it down, working on something else, because it does put quite a lot of strain on your hands, your elbows, and your shoulders. But I am going to finish this really soon because I'm itching to wear it. This is the time of year where a chunky, cozy vest would be just awesome to have. If I have enough yarn, and I'm fairly certain that I do, I might add a huge turtleneck to it, just to add to all of the cozy. That's a decision for later. I'm going to finish the vest itself, and then I'm going to try it on. I didn't make a neckline. Usually I will start with the neckline, but I didn't do that. I just cast on and started knitting so that I can make that decision at a later point. Actually, I didn't do it because I was unsure of the neckline. I was sure that I was going to be doing the neckline that I always do for these, just a simple crew neck. I just wanted a little bit of extra stability, and that comes, there's a bit more structure to a picked up neckline rather than one that you just knit from all the way from the top of the neck and down. With such a big garment like this, I like the added stability to the neckline when you cast on and then you pick up stitches for it and knit it later. But yeah, I'm happy that I did, because now I have the choice. But yeah, such a fun project. Even just knitting for it, knitting on it for 1 hour, I can tell that I've been at it. It really flies by, which is very gratifying. And something else to work on in between working on the chunky vest is, of course, a pair of socks. In the early days of the summer, I did a whip parade in here, and I showed you that I had numerous socks on my needles. So I grabbed these as we were packing up to go down here. I actually didn't even bother to look into the project bag, but when I opened it, I was happy. These are my self-striping socks. This is a pattern croy. Let's see. A pattern's croy, and let me see, the colorway is called blue striped rag, which, I mean, it's a blue striped rag, and it's knitting up beautifully. I only have the one skein, so I made a relatively long cuff for me. I am going to continue knitting until I have knit 25 grams of the ball. Then I'm going to do a toe, and then I am sure that I will have enough yarn to do the second sock. And then, of course, I'm going to put in afterthought heels. The yarn that I am using for cuffs, heels, and toes is something that I have no idea what this is. It's probably from a supermarket. It definitely has a lot of nylon content. I don't have the label with me, but the label does specify, I think, is it 30% nylon? It's a robust yarn. So I'm using that for cuffs, heels, and toes. And I am thinking I'm gonna have enough. Only just so, but I am gonna have enough, right? 50 grams is enough for a pair of socks for me when I use another yarn for cuffs, heels, and toes. I'm not an experienced sock knitter. I'm not sure. But if any of you know, please share the information. Only if you are thinking, there's no way she's going to have enough. Maybe don't tell me. I am using some needles that I don't remember the name of. They're like these flyers. Maybe they are Addy flyers, but they have this. Do you see? There's like a patterning on the needle itself. It's supposed to help with tensions in your hands as you are knitting. I really cramp my hands when I knit socks again, because I'm not used to knitting socks. I'm like, it needs to be really, really tight. So these are, I think, a little bit larger than the needles that I usually use. I think I remember these are a 2.25 millimeters, where usually I will use 2mm needles, just because I am such a loose knitter. But yeah, they're not going to be my favorite needles, but they're okay. It's okay, but I think it's a little more fiddly than just working magic loop, because when you start one round, you push the stitches up, and then you have this one, and you have this one, and then you add the third one, and that's just, where do I put my hands? But maybe once I finish this pair, I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna know exactly where to put my hands. For sure, these are gonna be so fun and so nice for fall. So I am gonna finish them as fast as I can. I always take such a long time with socks, but I think it's because in my mind, a sock is not really a whip. It's more like something that you keep in your purse, so that you always have some knitting with you. It's very rare that I pick up a sock and knit on it at home, but maybe I should start doing that. Maybe that would make me finish some socks. Who knows? Okay, a last whip is something that you have seen so many times before. It is my corner to corner crochet blanket, and it is growing. Let us see if I can show you how it's growing. It is touching the ground now, so it's about as tall as me, and it is nice and wide, and I'm so happy that I pulled back the couple of rows. I did stop the increases at some point, started making it into a rectangle, and then I decided, no, it's not wide enough. I'm really happy that I pulled back, because this is perfect. This is so cozy. It's actually going to live down here in the cabin. It's going to be beautiful here. I love all the colors, and I love that they're not in your face colors. They're all these pastel-y, easy colors, soft colors, and then the fact that I'm holding it with a mohair, of course, blends it beautifully. I love this stitch. It is so beautiful. It is so waffly and so squishy and just really, really nice. This is not my last corner to corner blanket, for sure. It's also a really easy stitch to work. Like with the granny stitch, you are not working into a stitch per se, you are working into a loop. Where on a granny stripe, you will be working into the little spaces between the clusters on the previous row. Here you are working into, let me see if I can show you. You're working into these loops that you create. So when you start a cluster, you chain 3, and then you do 3 double crochet, and it's the chain 3 that you then work back in when you come back on the next round. And it's just easy. It's easy to get your hook in. You don't have to sit and fiddle to get your hook into a stitch. So very, very easy, very satisfying. And now I have started squaring it off. So this is the one side of it. And over here, I have also started squaring it off. Only so, but I have started. So now I am decreasing on both sides. In the beginning, obviously, you increase on both sides. Then when you have your preferred width, if you don't want a perfect square, but you want a rectangle, then you work for a while where you increase one side, decrease the other. And then at some point, which is where I'm at now, you start decreasing on both sides so that you're squaring off your blanket. I can't wait. We just received new sofas for the cabin here just before I started recording. And I want to keep this blanket in my beautiful new couch. It looks so good down here. It goes very well with the vibe of this place, which is very laid back summer house vibes. So can't wait to finish. The mohair that I'm using comes on cones. It is not available anymore. This is also from Garnspecialisten. I'm sure they have a new mohair by now. You just always have to go and check, what do they have? Because that changes from day to day, because they're leftovers that they're selling. But this one, Stanford mohair, yeah, it looks like I have plenty. Again, I ordered some brushed alpaca silk to replace, because I thought I wouldn't have enough. So I thought this is heavier than a regular kit mohair, silk mohair. So I compared it to some brushed alpaca silk, and that was perfect. So I ordered a ton of that. I'll find something to make with it for sure, but I'm gonna have plenty because I have this cone plus another half cone, something like that at home. Yeah. There's a theme, isn't there, for this episode? And here I have a little magic ball. It's not a magic knot ball because I don't do magic knots. I just knot and then I crochet over the ends and all is good. I have, and knock on wood, never had one of these knots loosen on me. Probably because I do leave a bit of extra yarn and then I crochet over them and like weave them in as I crochet. But they're all of my fingering weight scraps in these soft pastel colors. I love working from a magic ball. It is so much fun not knowing what will happen and not having to make these decisions, because I can get a little bit overwhelmed if I am picking colors out of a huge scrap bin. I'm like, oh my goodness, is this going to go now? But there's this one there, and maybe I overthink it. When it's a magic ball, I just knit. Or in this case, crochet, and I enjoy every second. So these were my projects. Now I am gonna add the tutorial for the faux cabling, and it's these cables that run down the sleeves on this perfect little cardigan. They look like cables, but they're not. They're so easy to work. What you do is you work them over 3 stitches, and when you want to do the cable, you slip the first stitch, then you knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, and then you pass the slipped stitch over the 3 stitches on your needle. That's it. As easy as that. On the next round, when you come back to it, you can choose to knit the yarn over through the back loop just to make sure you don't get a hole. I never do that I probably would if I was making this in a more unforgiving yarn, a cotton yarn or a silk yarn or something like that, and I didn't want the holes. Then I'd probably knit the yarn over through the back loop just to close it up. But in any kind of wool that fills out, I haven't noticed it. So usually I don't bother doing that. But it is such an easy stitch, and it's a lovely little detail to add. You can also add it in your ribbing. On this one, it does go all the way from the cuff all the way up to the neckline ribbing. If you have a regular sweater with just a normal ribbed cuff, you can add these faux cables all the way around. That would look beautiful. And again, they are so easy to work, so it's not that's gonna stop you from doing that. I know that there are so many different ways to work the faux cables. This is the one that I find the easiest, but of course that is different from person to person. I like my very simple and easy method. And that was it for the creative content this week. We have had a wonderfully busy 2 weeks since we last spoke. We had Peter's brother and sister-in-law come visit us in Italy. Then we left them to go to Tuscany for a wedding. It was Peter's best friend who was getting married. And that wedding was everything that you would imagine when you hear the words August wedding in Tuscany. It was all that and more. It was so beautiful. Everything was just so beautiful, so perfect. We had 4 days of such good fun. It was, yeah, that's a weekend to remember for sure. After these 4 days, we were tired, both of us. Well, all three of us. Misa also participated in the wedding. She did really well. She likes the romance of weddings. But after, we were tired. We were very, very tired. So we decided we'd go out to a small town on the coast. It's called Viareggio. It is mostly Italians that take their vacations there. It is such a nice little town. It's so pretty. It's on the sea. It's not glamorous. It's not like so many towns on the coastline in the Mediterranean are going to be a little bit, they're going to be fancy. This is not. This is just so cozy, so pretty. We spent 2 days on a sunbed, just staring out in the ocean, knitting on some socks. I was, not Peter. We did nothing. We were so tired, and we were so full of all these happy memories and all the lovely people that we'd been together with. We just needed to relax. One night we went out for dinner, which was beautiful and lovely. But one night we just picked up some pizza slices and some candy and had that in our hotel room. We were tired. After a couple of days, we decided to start the journey back to Denmark. And we kind of agreed that we were gonna find a nice little hotel along the way and just stay there for 1 or 2 nights, just relax a little, cut the trip in half, and yeah, take it slow. But as soon as we started driving, we couldn't stop. So we drove all the way home, and It was lovely to be back home. Lovely to see my best friend Anne, who lives on the farm with us. Our youngest grandson, Theodore, he had his birthday a couple of days after we arrived home. So there was a lot of partying going on. We enjoyed that. Then we were filled up again from meeting all of these people that we hadn't seen in a while and just being with people all the time. So we decided to come down here and just relax and get some work done. We have gotten quite a lot of work done. We have also enjoyed ourselves down here. We've been going on some nice walks. The other night there was a blood moon. I love the blood moon. It is so pretty. So we went up to the road where the sky is clear to the east, which is where the moon was going to be. And we were standing there looking for it, and it didn't show itself. And we were so disappointed. And right behind us, the sun was making a spectacle of setting. But we were like, no, we want to see the moon. We want to see the moon. Yeah. We slowly started walking home, and then all of a sudden Peter says to me, oh, look, there she is. And there the moon was. So beautiful. It was amazing. Such a pretty sight. But yeah, because it took so long to find the moon, it was pretty dark as we were walking home. We got lost, not like lost, but just a little bit out of our way. So it was such a nice evening walk. We really enjoyed that. Right now we are watching Mayor of Kingstown, which we are enjoying. Is there 3 or 4 seasons? We are just zooming through them. So in the night we'll just curl up here in the couch with some knitting, and we will watch that show. It's not like one of those game-changing shows, but it's good. We are enjoying it. I am still reading Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I don't know why that is taking me so long, because I actually enjoy it, but I think it is because I am with people most of the time. And yeah, I prefer reading when I'm alone. Usually I have quite a lot of alone time. I haven't had that lately. So probably that is why it is going so slowly. I am gonna end things here. Thank you so much for watching. The tutorial for the faux cabling today, actually I made that because a lovely viewer asked me about it. If there's anything you want me to talk about or show my take on, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to help if I can. I really enjoy talking about my knitting, both the actual projects and the little nerdy things, tips and tricks. So I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are enjoying yourself. I hope you have some wonderful things to knit or crochet on. And I hope to see you again next week when I come back with a new episode.